What if I told you that the most feared monster in Greek mythology was actually an innocent victim? The woman whose gaze could turn you to stone wasn't born a monster. She was once so beautiful that gods themselves couldn't look away. This is the story they don't want you to know. The story of how a devoted priestess became the creature that haunted ancient nightmares. Stay with me, because the truth will change everything you thought you knew about Medusa. Long before she became the snake-haired terror of Greek legends, Medusa was simply a girl with dreams. Born to the primordial sea deities Phorcys and Ceto, she entered the world as an ordinary child alongside her two sisters, Stheno and Euryale. Unlike her siblings who were born as Gorgons, creatures blending woman and serpent, Medusa was completely human. From her earliest days, Medusa was captivated by one figure above all others, Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war. While other children played normal games, young Medusa would pretend to be the goddess herself, mimicking her grace and strength. Her sisters would play the villains in their games, but Medusa always chose to embody virtue and honor. There was one constant companion in her childhood, a boy named Iphicles. The two were inseparable, sharing every adventure and secret. As they grew older, something changed. Eros, the god of love, worked his magic on young Iphicles. One day, with trembling hands and a racing heart, he confessed his love to Medusa. The young woman faced an impossible choice. She loved Iphicles deeply, but her heart belonged to a higher calling. She dreamed of becoming a priestess of Athena, and that path demanded sacrifice. To serve the virgin goddess, she too must remain pure and untouched by romantic love. When Medusa reached the proper age, she entered the temple as an apprentice. The training was rigorous and demanding. Every action, every word, every gesture had to reflect perfectly on Athena. The priestesses were to mirror their goddess in every way, remaining virgins dedicated solely to divine service. Medusa didn't just meet these standards. She exceeded them in every possible way. As Medusa matured, her beauty became legendary. She conducted rituals with such grace and devotion that crowds began gathering not to worship Athena, but to witness the priestess herself. Her hair moved like waves of silk with every gesture, captivating everyone who watched. People whispered that perhaps Medusa's beauty even surpassed that of the goddess she served. From Mount Olympus, Athena noticed the growing attention. Her temples were filling with people, yes, but their eyes weren't on the goddess. They were fixed on her priestess. Athena felt the sting of being overshadowed in her own sacred space. Yet the goddess showed restraint. She knew Medusa meant no harm. The young woman was simply performing her duties with exceptional dedication. The fault lay with those whose worship had become misdirected, not with the innocent priestess. But someone else was watching too. Poseidon, god of the seas, had never forgiven Athena for defeating him in their contest to become Athens' patron deity. The city that should have been his bore her name instead. His bitterness had festered for years, and now he saw an opportunity for the perfect revenge. If he couldn't strike at Athena directly, he would destroy what she held most precious, her most devoted, most pure, most perfect priestess. Medusa walked alone by the seashore one evening, unaware that predatory eyes followed her every step. The waves themselves seemed to part as Poseidon emerged in all his divine glory, radiating power that would make any mortal fall to their knees. He spoke her name like a command. He used every charm at his disposal, expecting the priestess to feel honored by his attention. But Medusa, remembering her sacred vows, did something no one expected. She refused a god. Poseidon's pride couldn't accept rejection from a mere mortal. When he grabbed her arm, Medusa fought back with surprising ferocity, even striking the god across his face. For a moment, she broke free and ran toward the only place she believed she'd be safe, Athena's temple. But the god of the seas, consumed by rage and desire, pursued her relentlessly. Iphicles, Medusa's childhood friend, saw what was happening. With courage that defied all logic, the young man threw himself between the god and the woman he loved. Poseidon swatted him aside like an insect, sending him crashing to the ground unconscious. Medusa reached the temple and collapsed before Athena's statue, begging for protection. She heard the heavy footsteps approaching. She prayed desperately for her goddess to save her, but the goddess did not answer. Poseidon violated Medusa on Athena's own altar, defiling both the priestess and the sacred temple in one brutal act. When he finished, the god left with a satisfied smile, knowing his revenge against Athena was complete. Medusa lay broken on the temple floor, her body and spirit shattered. Then something impossible happened. The statue of Athena came to life, and the goddess stood before her priestess. But there was no comfort in her eyes, only fury. Athena blamed Medusa for everything. She accused the priestess of vanity, of using her beauty to distract men from virtue and purity. She claimed that if Medusa hadn't been so flamboyant, so irresistible, none of this would have happened. Her temple would still be pure. Her honor as a goddess would remain intact. The goddess announced her punishment. Medusa would become as hideous on the outside as Athena believed she was on the inside. As darkness fell, Iphicles regained consciousness and desperately searched for Medusa. He heard crying coming from the temple and rushed inside, finding her sitting in complete darkness, weeping uncontrollably. She begged him not to come closer, not to look at her. But Iphicles, concerned only for his friend's well-being, approached anyway and reached out to comfort her. A serpent struck his hand. Medusa turned toward him in shock, and their eyes met for the final time. Iphicles transformed instantly into cold stone, frozen forever with his hand still extended toward the girl he loved. Medusa collapsed against the statue that had been her best friend, sobbing in despair. Then she ran, desperate not to hurt anyone else. But others had already seen her. Those who looked into her eyes became petrified where they stood. Word spread quickly about the snake-haired creature lurking in the city. Warriors assembled to hunt the monster, only to be found days later as terrified stone statues. Medusa had no desire to harm anyone. She only wanted to defend herself and be left alone. She fled to abandoned ruins where no one had lived for centuries, finding an ancient temple that became her hiding place. Isolated from all humanity, Medusa slowly lost what remained of her human nature. She survived by hunting small animals, living like a beast in the shadows. Her legend grew with each warrior who failed to return from hunting her. One day, while pursuing prey, she made an unexpected discovery. Hidden among the ruins was an ancient bust of Athena. Despite everything the goddess had done to her, despite the cruel injustice of her punishment, something stirred in Medusa's heart. These ruins had been one of the first temples ever dedicated to Athena, and slowly, carefully, Medusa began to restore it. She cleaned the stones, maintained the sacred spaces, and performed rituals to honor the goddess, even though no one would ever witness these acts of devotion. From Olympus, Athena watched in silence. She finally understood. Medusa's actions came not from vanity, but from genuine nobility of spirit. The goddess realized she had punished an innocent woman and felt something gods rarely experience: regret. Then one day, Medusa heard footsteps in her temple. Her bestial instincts took over, and she prepared to defend herself against another attacker. She stalked her prey carefully, ready to strike. But something stopped her. The warrior carried a shield she recognized immediately, Athena's sacred aegis, the divine shield that had once belonged to Zeus himself. The shield was polished to a mirror finish. Using the reflection, the young warrior named Perseus saw the Gorgon sneaking behind him. With one swift movement, he severed Medusa's head from her body. As her blood spilled onto the temple floor, something miraculous happened. From her blood emerged two beings: Chrysaor, a warrior with a golden sword, and Pegasus, a magnificent winged horse. These were the children of Poseidon, growing inside Medusa from that terrible day in the temple. Pegasus, pure white and innocent, embodied all the goodness and purity that had been stolen from his mother. Perseus returned to Athena, giving her back the aegis along with Medusa's head. Many believed this was another act of the goddess's revenge. But the truth was different. Athena had guided Perseus to Medusa not out of hatred, but out of mercy. She wanted to free the young woman from the cursed existence that had been so unjustly forced upon her. The goddess took Medusa's head and placed it upon her shield, the Aegis. From that day forward, the image of her most loyal priestess remained at Athena's side for all eternity, a symbol of protection and a reminder of a terrible injustice. So, here's the truth they never tell you in mythology class. Medusa wasn't a villain. She was a victim who was blamed for her own assault, punished for being too beautiful, too devoted, too perfect. Her story isn't about a monster who deserved to die. It's about how those in power protect each other while the innocent suffer. The next time you see an image of Medusa, remember, you're not looking at a monster. You're looking at a survivor who was turned into one. If this story changed how you see Greek mythology, hit that subscribe button. There are dozens more stories like this, hidden truths behind the legends we thought we knew. I'll see you in the next one.